Hey, what is going on, guys? It's the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about the future, pretty much, of Dragon Ball Super and where we are. As you all know, well, if you haven't been following me, I do watch the English dub Dragon Ball Super and try to do reactions as much as possible. Hopefully I'll be able to do a couple more reviews before the series ends, because I haven't been able to do as many reviews for this arc, but it's been a very, very good arc. Nonetheless, and we're right now about to get into the fight with Goku and Jiren, so that should be great for everybody, if you know what I mean. But as of last week, we have been on the episode 122. That was last week's episode, and that was the beginning, like I said, of Goku vs. Jiren. Of course, Vegeta intervenes, so we haven't seen it fully yet. But as Vegeta, of course, was damaged, I'm assuming now the real fight between Goku and Jiren is going to happen. And as of tonight, we're going to see that episode 123. Again, as someone who only watched the English dub, again, we don't want spoilers here, so no spoilers for people that watch the Japanese version. But a lot of people have been wondering now for a few months, actually really longer than that, about when the part 2 of Dragon Ball Super will be coming out. And there has been a lot of speculation, and there's been a lot of things. There's been reports. Very reliable people. Geekdom 101 talked about it. But really, there hasn't been no updates that have happened. So we don't really know when Part 2 of Dragon Ball Super is happening, or when it's coming. But my personal opinion, I'm actually, as an English dub watcher only, I'm actually happy that it's being delayed, because delayed or whatever's happening, if it really was delayed or not, by Toei Animation, we'll probably never know, but until the announcement happens, probably. But I'm actually happy that it's delayed, because as a dub watcher only, I'm kind of happy that it's like, okay, we got Dragon Ball Super right now. The dub, we're kind of almost at we're almost at the finish line, you know what I'm saying? And then they can make the announcement right when right before Dragon Ball Super English dub is about to end. They can announce that they're going to be doing it in the next couple of weeks, and then we can get right into Dragon Ball Super Part 2 for the English dub and the Japanese version, and that's really how I think it should be. Especially since we're in 2019, and pretty much that's how most animes are these days, especially Funimation ones. They're only I want Dragon Ball Super to be like what Attack on Titan is right now, where it's only maybe 2 episodes behind, if that. You know what I'm saying? Since they can't do day-to-day dubs like they do with like they did for a while with My Hero Academia, which that was even crazy in itself. They eventually stopped doing that, but we got to get to that point with Dragon Ball Super. No waiting 2 years. People that have been watching the Japanese version, whether you're from Japan or you've been just watching the subtitled version, okay, they, as dub watchers, we had to wait almost a year and a half before we got the first episode of the English dub to come out. I think that's kind of bullshit, even back in 2015 standards, that we had to wait that long, and I know it was a licensing issue, but I felt like, these 2 companies, Funimation and Toei, they should have worked this out ahead of time, because they knew this was coming, and he knew people wanted it right away, and unfortunately that didn't happen. So I feel like this time around, they have to kind of cater to both of this, because it's what the hell? You see all these other animes that are coming out only 2 weeks behind the Japanese schedule, right? The Japanese schedule, and 2 or 3 weeks behind the Japanese schedule. So you have the Japanese dub, right? You'll have the Japanese episode, and then 2 weeks later you'll get the English episode. of that episode. That's what they're currently doing with Fairy Tail right now in the last series or last season. That's what they're doing with Attack on Titan. That's what they're doing with pretty much most of the simuldub animes are being done with. Especially the ones with Funimation, not so much like Viz or some of the other dubbing companies. I think Senpai Films does it. Sorry if I said that wrong, but I think that's how you say it. But they kind of do it now too with because they got their High Drive now stream service. So there's like, some of these anime companies or dubbing companies are kind of, doing this, schedule where they're only going to be like 2 weeks behind or 1 day behind in some cases. And that's what I think the future of anime should be for the most part, because that's what we're kind of expecting now. Even on Toonami, because that's what they're kind of doing with Attack on Titan right now. But so, people that only watch the English dub had to wait a year and a half. I had to wait a year and a half for the first episode to come out. And now, as we all know, people that have watched the subtitle version, whether you're from Japan or you're just watching the subtitle because you prefer it, they've now had to wait like about a year and a half. I think that's when the series ended, around the year and a half or two, since the Dragon Ball Super ended in Japan. And, it's like they're waiting, but you know what? We were waiting for so long just to see the goddamn episode in our language. So that's what I'm saying. For part 2, I feel like, and again, I don't know if this is going to happen or not, this is just my theory and my opinion on it, is I think Toei are going to wait until the English dub is over, which would probably, if the way Toonami is right now, and there's no marathons, which they've been really good this year with, the marathons, I don't even know if they did any this year, up to this point, I don't recall. But they might have done one. But still, Dragon Ball Super has been, this year, has been pretty good on the schedule for the dub. We didn't get the dual episode like Japan got, which we should have. We got screwed out of that, and I think they skipped a minute or two of some of the animation. Hopefully we'll get that in the home media release, when that episode is released. But that's where I'm thinking. There's 9 episodes left as of tonight, which will be in about less than an hour from now. There will be only 8 episodes left of Dragon Ball Super. So, and we have yet to get an announcement. Like I said, we still have no announcement of Dragon Ball Super Part 2. And again, this, each week that goes by, I'm starting to really, get more confident in my theory being true, because we haven't heard anything yet. And, Dragon Ball Super's English dub is almost over with. We're about to really get into that fight with Goku and Jiren tonight, I'm assuming. This will be episode 123. That's where I'm thinking right now, guys. That's where I'm thinking this is going right now. I think we are going to have Dragon Ball Super announced right when the English dub wraps up with part 1. And that's when we'll start it. They'll start it right up. They probably already have the animation done, and they're just not telling us. They probably have it already worked on. They're probably figuring it all out, the story plots and all that, storylines and the plots and the villains and whatnot. They're probably figuring all that stuff out. And it's going to probably lead to part 2 coming out literally a couple weeks after the English dub of Dragon Ball Super wraps up, which, like I said, if I'm thinking correctly, wait on the marathon, with no marathons and none of that stuff, affecting the schedule of Dragon Ball Super on Toonami, which is on Adult Swim Cable. It should wrap up by the early parts of October, if I'm not mistaken correctly. maybe sooner, maybe at the end of September. I'm not sure, but it's gonna be around there, around that window, with only 8 episodes left. Assuming again there's no marathons. I know Labor Day's coming up. I don't know if they're gonna have a marathon for Labor Day, but if they don't have a marathon, they didn't have another marathon for 4th of July weekend, which that's the second straight year that they didn't. Before that, they had marathons for 4th of July weekend. So, like I said, the Toonami's kind of really cranking out a lot of their contents more than doing marathons anymore. And so Dragon Ball Super's kind of just, getting to the end right now. And I am very curious to what's going to happen in the coming weeks, and see what will, end up, if my theory's right, or if maybe they announce it, sooner and within the next couple of weeks, before the English dub ends. But I like I said, I think the best scenario at this point right now is for them to announce it right around when the English dub is over, because I can't really see any other dates that would be possible to when Toei would want to announce it. A lot of people were saying Goku Day. Obviously that passed. I don't know when Toei would announce it at this point. I don't know where the window would be. Maybe at the beginning of September, when school comes back. But again, in Japan, I'm not exactly sure if that's the same thing. I'm thinking like as an American right now, but obviously in Japan, I don't know exactly if that's when school begins for them. That's just kind of a, little thing I'm throwing out there, but I'm probably wrong about that. But like I said, I think the best case scenario, because obviously Toei Animation knows about Toonami, they know about Super being aired on Toonami. They talk about it on their social media pages all the time. So, about what's going to happen with the dub. So, obviously, they're well aware of what's going on in the English dub world of Funimation's dub of Dragon Ball Super and where it's at. And that's why they want it on Toonami. They want it on the cable network. They didn't want it to be exclusive to a stream service, like most of the animes are for Funimation. And that's why they kind of have this deal with Toonami. That Dragon Ball Super is going to air there first, and then you have to wait a couple of months for a batch of the episodes to be available on the stream service. That's kind of why that was done, because that was Toei's decision, with the agreement of the license, which benefits Toonami, because obviously Toonami, Dragon Ball Super should be on Toonami. I don't care what anyone says. Everyone uses, it should be on a stream. That's the way everything is. Dragon Ball Z as a brand was built because of Toonami. It was kind of one of those two type of engines. Dragon Ball Super, Toonami. Toonami was kind of skyrocketed when Dragon Ball Z came on board. Sailor Moon, of course, helped out too a month before that. But, once Dragon Ball Z came on, kind of skyrocketed it in popularity and viewership. And then, of course, as we all know, Dragon Ball Z became a huge hit, and Toonami became a huge block, and that's why it's, still has a huge fandom to this day. Even when Toonami got canceled, it was canceled for like 4 years. There was still a huge following of Toonami, and you can really contribute to that to Dragon Ball Z, and you can really contribute to Toonami benefiting its fans for Dragon Ball Z, and vice versa. Dragon Ball Z's popularity skyrocketed by being on Toonami and being on that 5:30, 5 o'clock time slot Monday through Fridays, when it was originally airing. Dragon Ball Super belongs on Toonami, and it should stay on Toonami, and I'm glad it's premiering on Toonami. That's where it is. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, that's my theory on it. Like I said, but of course, I'm a dub fan, so I want this to be what it is. But this is the theory that I'm lining up based on now. We're only at the end of this night, only 8 episodes, but at the time of this video, 9 episodes left. So I would really like to know what you guys think. When do you guys think Dragon Ball Super Part 2 is coming out? And let me know. Comment, rate if you like this video or my videos, please subscribe. And that is about it, guys. I am the SS Ultimate Goku, and I'm out of here. Peace!